Down before I chalk you out. Or I choke you out. Dot fingers, the bar guard, walking through hell, stepping on you underguards. I stay Brooklyn 24/7, spit raw with the method, ripping all your intestines. I got flows you can't parallel, moving over beaches like a parasail, leave your head spinning like a carousel. King of monsters, and none of y'all can fuck with us. We fuck shit up. 12 days fucking your whole
Say
function.
what you say. These bitches got nothing from me, so fucking phony. Listen, honey, stick to what you know. Oh, I flamethrow, break them down for real. Flights open to kill, no chill, stomach spill. Watch me make a mess of ya. They looking for the rest of ya. Your light work for my knife work. What's your life work? Lane switching, get you missing. This here's no competition. Speaking into fruition, perfect subdivision with no glitches. Every shot is hitting.
Uh, Embrace my demons, stack off in my hands and slap you in your face with my semen. Always scheming, catch you slipping on my come up like gun buck. You get touched, you get hit. It's duck hunt. Listen, 8-bit spit, nigga in half, you get split. Pull up, knock you down, mopping off in my black car. I call it hit. This night rider, put this whole fucking clip right inside your blade in your back, out your chest. Rock sneak up right behind you. His curtain, see the whites of his eyes. Glock squirting, turn your situation critical. Needing care that's urgent. Don't beg my pardon, activate me. I get to start and shit that I have family members in black holes missing, dearly departed. Rah.
Yeah. Salutations. Welcome to Conversations with TNathan. Yep. Friday, the 12th of July, 2024. Another week coming to an end. Yeah, and we're here to end it. How y'all doing? Hope all of y'all are doing well out there in GCPR network land and all of those who are listening to me across multiple platforms like TikTok, Facebook, no, not Facebook, TikTok, my Twitch stream, my YouTube channel, both TikTok channels, as a matter of fact, and on X. Yeah. How you all doing tonight? Hope all is well with you all. We are here at the close of the week. Close, move across, move the comments across. Um, is everybody all right? Check in, check in. Let me know how you all are doing. Let me know how you all doing. The week. Last night I had a special guest, 13-year-old crumb snatcher, did the whole show with me, and then my nephew called, and we had them on the line, and we had some conversation about generational gaps. Yeah, generational gaps. I learned a lot of rap artists I do not know the name of. and I'm not sure I care to know the names of. But yeah, that's what we had last night. And tonight we're going to recap the week, which has been an interesting week for the Democratic Party and some other things. But let's get through some top news stories before we get into all those. Let's see what I got here. I got some. Well, where did I put them? I got to find. I wanted to talk about Alex Baldwin. If I can find the story, because Alec Baldwin just got, that's Kamala Harris, some good news. Yes. Yes, Alec Baldwin off in South in New Mexico. Uh, the judge has dismissed the case against Alex Baldwin in New Mexico in the death of Helena Hutchins. Yes, the charges have been dismissed because the prosecution withheld evidence. Um, Greetings, salutations, everybody just joined, but he wept openly in court when the manslaughter case was dismissed against him. Now, I wanted to find out, because I was looking at that just before I came. But yeah, it was so interesting because you were watching it unfold on Court TV, And the judge dismissed the whole jury at first. Judge dismissed the jury for the weekend, told them they didn't have to report back to Monday. And then the judge did something I've never seen a judge do before. She put on latex gloves. I'm assuming they were latex. They were for handling evidence. She put the gloves on. She comes down out off a stand and she examines bullets, the shell casing. She examines the shell casing, and I had never seen a judge do that before. And I was like, "What in the entire?" So let's see. Tell you what they say. So in Santa Fe, New Mexico, a New Mexico judge brought a sudden end and a stunning end to the involuntary manslaughter case against Alex Baldwin, dismissing it in the middle of the actor's trial and saying it cannot be filed again. Not only did they dismiss the case, but they said that it cannot be filed again. The judge dismissed the case based on misconduct of police and prosecutors over the withholding of evidence from the defense in the 2021 shooting. Baldwin cried, hugged his two attorneys, gestured to the front of the court, then turned to hug his crying wife, mother of his seventh kid. Anyway, the late discovery of this evidence during trial has impeded the effective use of the evidence in such a way that it has impacted the fundamental fairness of the proceedings. That's what the judge said. If this conduct does not rise to the level of bad faith, it certainly comes so near to bad faith to show signs of scorching. I thought that was interesting the way she worded that. Yeah. If it's not bad faith, it shows signs of bad faith. It's so close to being bad faith, it is scorching. The case ending evidence revealed during testimony Thursday was ammunition that was brought into the sheriff's office in March by a man who said it could be related to Hutchins' killing. Prosecutors said they deemed the ammo unrelated and unimportant, while Baldwin's lawyers alleged they buried it and filed a motion to dismiss the case. The judge's decision ends the criminal culpability of the 66-year-old Baldwin after nearly 3 years saga that began with the revolver he was pointing at Hutchinson during a rehearsal went off and killing her and wounding the director. The district attorney said, "Our goal from the beginning was to seek justice for Helena Hutchins. We are disappointed that the case did not get to go to the jury. The career of Alex Baldwin, who has been a household name for more than 3 decades, had been put into doubt, and he could have gotten 18 months in prison if convicted. It's not clear what opportunities will await him now, but he and his wife signed an agreement for the reality show of their large family in June. Baldwin and other producers still face civil liability from Hutchinson's parents and sister and a few crew members. Hutchinson's widow and the young son had agreed to settle their own lawsuit about a year after the shooting, with the widower becoming an executive producer on the then unfinished film. The producer of the film became her her husband. That was part of the lawsuit they agreed. But that settlement was reportedly in jeopardy before the trial, and the lawyer who filed it now says in a statement that we look forward to presenting all the evidence to the jury and holding Mr. Baldwin accountable for his actions in the sentencing. Rust, an independent Western, was completed in Montana. It has not found a distributor yet or been seen by the public. But you can best believe we'll see that film. We'll see that film. So that's what happened in New Mexico today. The charges were dismissed, and he really has aged. Age is a touchy subject around here. Age is a touchy subject around. It's been a touchy subject for the last week and a half. So we're gonna just speed past that comment. No, we're gonna run into it. I'm just building up to it before we get to it because I think that's going to be the end. So, in other news, Donald Trump. Donald Trump today went on the was the Calvin and Buck whatever today, but he went on a talk show today, a radio, maybe like a podcast, radio podcast. But he went on there today, and he decided today, and that medium was how he was going to do his apprentice style launch of his four picks, his four top choices for vice president of the United States to run with him on the ticket. So it was so funny because a lot of these names, you're going to know all of them if you follow politics in any way, shape, or form. You're going to know all of four candidates. But the history of these candidates is what is funny to me. So let me close this out and let's start with, let's see, where we want to start. Which candidate? Any, mini, miny, mo. We're going to start with the governor of North Carolina. Yeah, Doug here, Doug Burger, um, governor, North Carolina, and an, an interesting choice because I don't know if you all remember, and I put out a video on this across social media where I was going and putting some of the past things, these individuals that are running in the running for to be the vice president on the Donald Trump ticket, the Donald Trump ticket, whatever that ticket is. Uh, they're vying for vice president actively vying for vice president. And first up, we have the governor of North Carolina, Doug, here. And I don't know if you remember, but about a year ago, Doug gave an interview, and he was asked if he would ever do business with Donald Trump. He was asked. He said, "Will you ever do business with Donald Trump?" Doug said no. As a matter of fact, Doug didn't only say no. Let's take a listen to how Doug put this right in the interview that he gave on the subject when he said the following.
I don't think so.
Okay, let's start that from the beginning, just in case y'all didn't hear.
Did you ever do business with Donald Trump? I don't think so. Why? I just think that it's important that you're judged by the company you keep, and You just wouldn't do business with him? No, I wouldn't.
I was the governor of North Carolina saying that he would not do business with Donald Trump. Yeah, but he's willing to be his vice presidential running mate. Now let's take a look at what he said on Laura Ingram's show.
For everyday people.
That is very telling also in this whole conversation.
How he gets up and fights for everyday people in America every day. And then his policies are all in the right direction. If you're a billionaire and you care about your shareholders, you care about your family, and care about your grandkids, you should be voting for someone that's going to bring prosperity to America and peace to the world. That's what President Trump is going to do.
If you're a billionaire, if the quiet parts are just falling all out loud. If you're a billionaire, you should be voting for President Trump. What a difference. It's less than a year. What a difference. Doug wants to be vice president. Doug said he would never do business with Donald Trump, and now he's singing a different tune. He's talking about if you're a billionaire, that you should be voting for Donald Trump. Dude, so to the not all of them. A lot of billionaires that are social justice, and I point to that because I'm talking about Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett is still not buying it. Warren Buffett is not buying any of this, and he's putting his money where he's not buying. So we got Warren Buffett saying he's not buying. So this is the first one. This is the first candidate in this apprentice style. How do we call it? We're gonna call this because the announcement was made like The Apprentice, right? And let's see if y'all can guess the second. The second choice on the list is Marco Rubio. That was the name that Donald Trump called Marco Rubio. Little Marco. That's what he called him, right? And I think it's real telling. But let's let's see what little Marco had to say. Marco had to say about Donald Trump. Now, listen to this.
The states are giving control of the party of Lincoln and Reagan, of the conservative movement, and ultimately of the United States over to a con artist. That will not happen. I make this promise to you today. I will do whatever it takes. I will campaign as long as it takes. I will stay in this race as long as it takes. Donald Trump, a con artist, will never get control of this party. And the time has come for you. I know some of your friends have bought into this. Listen, friends, don't let friends vote for con artists. It is time to open our eyes. It is time to open our eyes. We cannot allow a con artist to get access to the nuclear codes of the United States of America. It's a big fraud. And it's time to open our eyes, and we will in the days and weeks to come. I'm confident of it.
Yeah, that was Marco Rubio. That's what he had to say about Donald Trump. Now, my question is he still committed to that? Is he maybe he going undercover? Maybe that's what's up. Maybe Marco Rubio. Stop it, TNathan. Yeah, I'm gonna stop. Maybe little Marco is going undercover. Yeah, maybe that's it, because he sounded very committed to that position, right? Right now, he helping Donald Trump prep for debates, and I mean, the glizzy swallowing is real. You know, these are two men right now that said basically they would do everything they could to keep Donald Trump from the Oval Office. And now they are basically on their hands and knees begging to be picked as vice presidential candidates. Oh, let me go back for a moment. Um, y'all know who Marco is. Y'all know who little Mario is. Y'all know who Marco Rubio is. Let's go back to Doug for a moment. Let me take Marco down, and let me put Doug back up. Let me go back to Doug for a moment, because Doug just signed, and I find it interesting. Doug just signed a very sweeping abortion bill in North Carolina that practically leaves no exceptions for abortion on any level. And I bring that up because, you know, the Republican National Convention starts Monday. And every night of the Republican National Convention, we'll be right here to recap what happened during the day, because it's going to be busy, and I'm going to be, um, I would go, but yeah, y'all probably have to come bail me out the first day. But I'm going to be here every night, and we're going to talk about it, and we're going to talk about what unfolds. And the Republicans have put forth a new platform ahead of their convention. And one of the things in that platform is a very, I'm going to call it a lie, but they're softening their digital and their output when it comes to abortion, of where they're standing on abortion. It's a very interesting summation, but they have put this out ahead of their convention, the Republican National Convention, where Donald Trump will most likely, I'm 99% sure, move from presumptive nominee to the nominee for the Republican Party. I know a lot of people don't understand that. They think presumptive nominee is the nominee, but they wouldn't need a convention if it wasn't for the fact that they're just presumptive nominees right now. Joe Biden is also the presumptive nominee of the Democratic Party, but more on that when we talk about the rough week he's had. So we get to the fact that We're going to have that. And ahead of that, they have put out. So I'm trying to handicap. What I'm doing is I'm trying to handicap who will be Donald Trump's vice presidential running mate out of these four, except that he said were in his top picks. I also have a problem thinking that this is Donald Trump. I'm not 100% sure, even though I heard it out his mouth, that these are his four president running mates. These are his four apprentice style picks. I'm also this one person that wasn't on this list that I expected to be on this list, if for no other reason than what they brought to the table as a woman. But hmm, interesting. But they're not on the list. And I'm not talking about Christy Noel either. I'm not talking about the governor of North Carolina of North Dakota, because she became problematic with the dog story. But and I'm you I just wonder where she's at. And I'm talking about Lake in Arizona. But I, I never thought Michael Flynn would be on this list. I never thought that. People were making that argument because of his alleged um, foreign policy background. But yeah, no, one convicted felon is enough. Yeah, I just can't. I just couldn't. Yeah, yeah, I just didn't see it. I don't think that. I think that Michael Flynn would be in the cabinet definitely, but not by. He doesn't need him as vice presidential candidate. He needs somebody else, and so that's why I don't. And that's why I'm handicapped. I'm gonna come back to it, but right now, out of all the candidates, this Doug is at number 3 for me. Doug is at number 3. Um, because of that. And because I believe that Donald Trump holds grudges, even though, and because I believe Donald Trump holds grudges, I don't think that little little Marco here is in the top 2. I really don't. I think that Marco Rubio is probably um, mm, uh, second. I put him at second. I take that. I put him at second because I know the other two, and I'm gonna tell you why. Right? Yeah. Right. And next, after the one he shot from not be named, we're gonna go to where's Vance? We got JD Vance next. Let me clear Marco out and get to Senator from Ohio, JD. I'm a Klansman. Vance. I said what I said. If you don't like it, I don't care. Yeah, Klansman, JD Vance. But let's take a listen to some of the things JD has said about Donald Trump. Also,
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
yeah, that was JD Vance. JD Vance said,
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
yeah, this is what I mean. 3 out of these 4 candidates have said they would never support Donald Trump. 3 out of the top 4 said they would never support Donald Trump. And now they have basically look at the red tie JD Vance wears. It's reminiscent of Donald Trump. They are all falling over themselves to worship at the glizzy of Donald Trump. Can't make this up. They have fallen over themselves to worship at the glizzy of Donald Trump to be his presidential running mate. And then you listen to Marco Rubio's, I can pronounce his name, I just don't like him. You all wonder why I always call him everything. I haven't liked little Marco for years, years. JD Vance, I don't like him either. Yeah, I don't like him either. I don't like anybody on this list. And I think JD Vance is the most clannish of everybody on the list, but we haven't got to the most Rocket Raccoon on the list. But JD Vance, and that's him. He said he was a never Trump. He said he was a never Trumper, and that was his stance. And now he's going around talking about bringing principles that are missing from the White House. I don't know if you all saw this. Yeah, JD Vance was on what show? He was on the Meet the Press. Meet the Press? Meet the Press. Yeah, he was on Meet the Press last Sunday. And he said that he was fighting to bring principles back to the White's house. Not the White House, the White's house. And he didn't try to correct himself. He meant what he said. He meant what he said. Klansmen extraordinaire, they're just going around without the hoods on, so we know who they are. Yeah. All right. So that's him saying that he's a never Trumper, and right now we see where he is. And I need somebody to guess. I need a guess. Who do you all think before I unveil them, who do you all think the last person is I'm about to unveil? Who do you all think the last person is? Anybody? Anybody? We got one more candidate on the apprentice for the vice president. I'm done. I'm gonna give you a count. Doom, 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 doom. Doom, 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 doom. Do 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 doom 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 doom. Yes, if you guess the fourth person on Donald Trump's short list for vice presidential candidate of the United States on the GOP ticket is Tim Scott. Yes, Tim, I look like I was on Fat Albert Scott. Yeah, up above a boob. I know. Somebody's mad at me right now for doing that. I don't care. Yep, Tim Scott is the fourth candidate on this list of horror. And Tim Scott is one of the few people who has never really gone in on Donald Trump on this list. He has always been a rocket raccoon glizzy swallower of Donald Trump. As a matter of fact,
Who will restore law and order? We need Donald Trump. Oh, we need a president who will lower our taxes and not raise our taxes. We need a president like Donald Trump.
yeah, you can't make this shit up. You can't make this shit up. Tim Scott is on the list, the short list for Donald Trump's VP candidate choices. That's his announcement. Now, a lot of people, y'all like to have summation. I never talked about this list because I hadn't heard it out his mouth. Today, I heard it out his mouth in his apprentice style pre-release, trying to steal the spotlight back from the Democrats right now. And of course, you gotta have your favorite Rocky Raccoon on the list, if nothing else, to make it seem like. But here's the thing, right? Here's the thing, and you can mark me down for saying it. I will give you why I put Tim Scott higher on the list out of those four. Now, there's a whole possibility here. Listen to me and listen to me well. There's a whole possibility this could all be a red herring, and then Donald Trump can unload somebody else on us at the Republican National Convention on Monday. That's a distinct possibility. I am not throwing that possibility out the window. There is a distinct possibility that Donald Trump will hit with somebody that's not on this list, because there's some people not on this list that I thought would be on this list. And he could have said 5 or 6, but these are supposed to be the last 4. I think there's a good chance, 25% chance, that we might get somebody different. But going with these 4, if these are the 4 we're going with, I think Tim Scott has a better chance of being picked by Donald Trump than Marco Rubio. I just do. Number one, is Marco going to move out of Florida? You think he's going to move out of Florida? Because we haven't had a presidential candidate that had a running mate from the same state they're in. And Donald Trump is a resident of Florida. So that, yeah. He- He's not going to, I don't think he's going to, Marco Rubio is not my first choice. He's going to be number 4 because he also has the most contentious of the three's history with Donald Trump. Most contentious. So I think he holds a grudge. And look, don't fault me for not thinking Donald Trump doesn't have political acumen. The benefits of Marco Rubio is the fact that he brings a certain built-in crowd with him. He brings a certain demographic, but that demographic, Donald Trump is already winning. Yeah, he has a certain base amongst the Hispanic voters that I don't think I think that's Marco Rubio's best entry with Donald Trump, but I think Donald Trump already has that locked up. He has Trump's Latinos for Trump. He has that locked up. So then we get to, should I put the name, should I put him up? So that was Marco Rubio. So I don't need to put Marco Rubio's picture back up. And then let's go to J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance, Senator, Ohio. Senator from Ohio. Klansman. Klansman. That's my assumption by his actions, and I'm sticking with him. But I think Donald Trump has this vote wrapped up too. I think he has everything that J.D. Vance actually brings to the table wrapped up. But he does. J.D. Vance is higher on my list than Marco Rubio. But I just think that I don't think the donors like J.D. Vance as much as other people on the list. I don't. Not like I think Trump is going to just listen to donors like other political candidates do. But yeah, J.D. Vance is problematic, and I think when we dig into his history, we're going to find enough there to give the media a field day for a while until the election day, especially when they find out that he probably has some sheets with eyes cut out and pillowcases that he wears on certain occasions. Um, there's that. So I'm putting J.D. Vance at number 2. I mean number 3 on my list. He's number 3. I got Marco Rubio at 4, put J.D. Vance at 3, and then my number 2 choice. We'll go back to my number 2 choice. Dun, 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 is going to be Gums here. Yeah, Gums here is my number 2 choice. Tim Scott is my number. What am I at? I got 3. This is my number 2 choice. Yeah, I put my number 2. I put Gums at number 2 because he lends some kind of optics to Donald Trump. And he's a glizzy swallower enough that he's not a threat. He's not a threat. He doesn't try to overshine Donald Trump. I don't think I don't think he ever will. But all 4 of these candidates also would have not did what Michael Pence did. Mike Pence did on January 6th also. They wouldn't, none of these candidates will certify an election. Yeah, none of these candidates will certify an election that Donald Trump doesn't win. So Gums here, Tim Scott, Hubba Bubba, he is number 2 on my list because he brings a certain optics to the Republican Party and makes stupid people feel like they can march behind this ideology that the Republican Party is not racist because you brought a rocket raccoon to the festival. So that's why he moves up. That's why he's as high as he is on the list at number 2 for me. Don't think it's possible, but I don't think anybody, I still not feeling this list anyway, though, because 2 of them he really doesn't like. And I don't think he's going to like the number 1 choice on the list because Donald Trump holds grudges. Marco Rubio has said too many things about him. J.D. Vance has said he was a never Trumper. Tim Scott sucks the glizzy always, but he's black. There is that. But he also will be like Steven in Django Unchained. I think he would be like Steven in Django Unchained. He actually, out of the 4 of them, he presents the less. Also, J.D. Vance has a certain attraction factor that people are talking about, and Donald Trump doesn't want anybody that looks better than him, even though, I mean, any living adult, it, it can look better than Donald Trump. But look at Tim Scott. Yeah, Tim Scott don't have to have the problem. But I just think when I see Tim Scott, I think he would be Stephen to Donald Trump. Yeah, he would be in meetings fetching coffee. Yeah, Tim Scott would be in meetings and he would be bringing coffee or tea or whatever. He would be everybody in the room would look at Tim Scott and say, we need this and we need that. And Tim Scott would say, I'll be right. I got you, Master. I got you. And that's and I don't care if you don't like it. That's what I feel about Tim Scott. All right. And so that brings me to just by default. This is just by default. This is not because I think that it's even possible. But I think the governor of North Carolina takes my number one spot, not because I think any of them are really good or probable for him. They all bring the same kinds of problems, and they all have said, except Tim Scott, things that I could see Donald Trump holding against them. But bringing the most to the table in the national election for the Republican Party, Doug, he's a billionaire. Do I need to say more? He's a billionaire. He has a built-in funds. He has a built-in yeah, he's a billionaire. And the con is I don't know how his past stances on abortion are going to play on a national level. But yeah. So that's my ranking of the 4 candidates we were given today. And those are some excerpts of things they have said about Donald Trump, and like 3 of them have said things I think that Donald Trump will hold against them. And Tim Scott is black, but to put him on the list and to put him in contention also, gives an appearance that you didn't pick just all white men. I don't care what y'all say about Marco Rubio. But in a way, you did pick all white men. All 4 of these are white men. But I digress. But those are the 4 choices that he announced today. I would like to hear. I'd be interested in hearing what do you all think. Do you all do you all agree with my list, or who do you have out of these 4 at number 1 out of Tim Scott, Marco Rubio, J.D. Vance, and Doug Burgum? Who do you all have at number 1? Do you think that Doug, out of all 4 of those, he takes the most likely slot, or do you think Marco Rubio takes the most likely spot? And remember, Marco Rubio is also listed. The one of them would have to move out of Florida. Yeah, the one of them would have to move out of Florida. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't. Hey T, I changed my name from Petra. I knew that was you already. You didn't have to. It's not anybody else I know that's friends with me already. Oh, and I'll take this moment to bring you an advertiser message from water. Water is good. Drink some water. Yeah, that's what water wants you to know. Water paid for that space on my show, and water is telling you to make sure you drink some today and drink more water. All right, now, so I'm curious. I'm curious. What do you all think? What do you all think? Do you all think that Tim Scott moves up to the top of the list, or do you think Marco Rubio moves up to the top of the list? J.D. Vance, I just don't see J.D. Vance getting the top spot. But I do see my number 1 is Doug Burgum on this list. But I also reserve opinion because I said that I could also see Donald Trump hitting us with somebody else at the RNC convention. Just because he said these are his 4, this is Donald Trump we're talking about. Mike Johnson is not on the list that Donald Trump announced today. Mike Johnson is not on the list Donald Trump announced today. And I actually thought he would pick Ben as the token black person on this list, not before he picked Tim Scott. I thought he would picked Ben Carson. That was the one list. I was like, he could have made it more, but I thought he would have put the Ben Carson as the token black person on this list. I knew it wasn't going to be Wesley Hunt. Yeah, I don't care what Wesley Hunt does. I knew it wasn't going to be Wesley Hunt, and I also knew it wasn't going to be Byron Johnson, Donaldson, Byron Donalds out of Florida anyway. So um, none of them, I got a commenter saying, oh, that's Cam. None of them really feel like a fit for him. Tim Scott does. Tim Scott does, because Tim Scott would be the best puppet. I don't know. If I went for puppeteers, I think Tim Scott would be the best puppet out of all these. I think he would fall in line. I think I think all of them will fall in line. I think all of them will fall. I just think Donald Trump would get more out of Tim Scott falling in line than all the rest of them. I think I can make an argument for Tim Scott above all of them, because I think he would take this opportunity to really clown all of the ones who had so much to say about him in the past, because Donald Trump is petty vindictive. And I can see him dangling this carrot in front of their faces only to snatch it back. I was gonna say the biggest yes man um, after Pence, right? Because you know Pence, whatever you feel about Michael Pence had a Donald Trump discovered something about Mike Pence too late, and Mike Pence did have a line he wouldn't cross. Mike Pence had a line he wouldn't cross, even for Donald Trump. These three, I don't think they have these four. I don't think either one of these four have a line they wouldn't cross for Donald Trump. I mean that in every sense of the imagination. Anything you're thinking about, I don't believe these four have a line. After listening to Marco Rubio talk about Donald Trump would never get in office and he spent all that, do I need to play that again? I'm gonna play it again. I want you to listen to what Marco Rubio said. This is Marco Rubio what he had to say about Donald Trump. Hold on, let me pick it up and hit play.
Are giving control of the party of Lincoln and Reagan, of the conservative movement, and ultimately of the United States over to a con artist. That will not happen. I make this promise to you today. I will do whatever it takes. I will campaign as long as it takes. I will stay in this race as long as it takes. Donald Trump, a con artist, will never get control of this party. And the time has come for you. I know some of your friends have bought into this. Listen, friends, don't let friends vote for con artists. It is time to open our eyes. It is time to open our eyes. We cannot allow a con artist to get access to the nuclear codes of the United States of America. It's a big fraud. And it's time to open our eyes, and we will in the days and weeks to come. I'm confident of it.
That was Marco Rubio. That was little Marco. And that's what he said. I'm telling you, if he picked Marco Rubio, that's the campaign ad that the Democrats should release the day after him announcing that Marco Rubio is his running mate. If he picks Marco Rubio, I'm gonna run this ad, I'm gonna make an ad out of this for the Democratic Party and put it on my page. I'm gonna make an ad just in case they feel like, no, because Democrats are lousy at politicking. If they don't feel they have to politic, I'm gonna make an ad out of this, whichever one he picks, except Tim Scott. I'm lost with Tim Scott. If he picks Tim Scott, I don't have any of these. I don't have any recordings like this that I can I might can splice something together. You know, Tim Scott has said, nothing like this. Nothing close to it. Tim Scott would not even condemn Donald Trump for January the 6th. He wouldn't. Oh, if you're asking what's in the background, that's Evil, the series. Yeah, that's Evil. So my chief of security is late, you all. Y'all lucky, but luckily Olivia was here to handle security details. Leave it to leftists to make better ads than liberals make. Right, exactly. I will make this ad for the Democratic Party. This ad makes itself. If Donald Trump picks Marco Rubio, that's the ad. I'm telling you, if they don't have it, I got it for them. I got like 5 terabytes of stored information um, on my drive, external drive. 5 terabytes of videos from 2016 to now of candidates, all that, index everything. I keep y'all remember y'all say how do I pull up these receipts and how do I number one I remember them all that I have them on on my terabyte drive so I can go and I also have them under names by all the candidates, all that stuff. When I see something, I know it's going to be relevant later. I put it in that file. So I got Marco Rubio saying that from 2017. Yep. And this should be their campaign. That should be their whole campaign. They should just pay several $1,000,000 to put that campaign. Say Marco Rubio is siding with Democrats that Donald Trump should not be president, and this is why. Think about that. Think about that. What's changed since Marco Rubio said that? Not for Marco Rubio. I understand. Marco Rubio has the glizzy of Donald Trump stuck in the back of his throat. But what has changed in reality for any of that? None of that has changed. Everything Marco Rubio said is true. And it's truer today because we can add 34 felony convictions to it. It's truer today because we can add what he did to E. Jean Carroll in the Macy's dressing room. It's true today because we have boxes of top secret documents that were scattered around Mar-a-Lago like they were just so much refuge. Do you understand that the Justice Department has not recovered all those documents yet? We don't talk about that. The Justice Department has not recovered all of those documents. Let that sink in. We run around here talking about, threats to national to democracy. There are things out there that still have not been recovered. Yeah. Have your own snacks this time. If you stay hungry, bring your own snacks. And remember, this series is sponsored by my advertiser, Water. Water loves for you to drink it. Wonder if they got him a good rate on a Russian bank loan. Yeah, yeah. Another commenter, I have an idea for an ad. Just need Kendall Jenner and oh no, see, this is what I get for blind reading comments, especially for somebody named Pirate. Yeah, that's what I get for blind reacting to comments. I got one. I feel bad for the choice U.S. has. Canada is no better. Trudeau is no better. Did you hear what Justin Trudeau said about Biden when they asked him? Yeah, he's back. He's a Biden supporter. He's a Biden supporter. But the Prime Minister of Italy was mocking Biden. Yeah, she was mocking him at the NATO summit after that press conference, and they caught her mocking him. Justin Trudeau did blackface, so y'all know how I feel about Justin Trudeau. I think he's gone a long way to try to make up for it, but I also don't like the way they're handling the indigenous population in Canada. Canada is funny to me because Canada looks at us and says that you all are so racist, and I'd be like, hey, Pot, your name is Kettle. Yeah, a Pot calling the kettle black. Canadians telling Americans they're so racist, and Newfoundland, indigenous populations are fighting for the right to do what white fishermen are able to do. Yeah, yeah. So don't get me started. But it's that's it. So those are the 4 choices that Donald Trump has made. That's what the 4 choices he's announcing that he's going to pick between. And remember, the RNC starts on Monday, and every night at 10 o'clock Central Standard Time, 11 o'clock Eastern Time, I will be right here recapping everything that happened at the RNC, because I'm sure I'm gonna, and if I actually, it's the Legion of Doom conference, as I call it. That's what I always call the RNC. It's the Legion of Doom conference, and Lex Luthor is the RNC chairman. So we should see what the Legion of Doom has planned for us. Every night we're going to come here and talk about it, and I guarantee you it's going to be something to talk about every night. I do not care that the Republican Party has released a toned down version of its platform. I don't care. And I realize that, some people don't think you can criticize Joe Biden and also fight for to understand that we can't let Donald Trump anywhere near the Oval Office. I know a lot of you all getting your feelings whenever I say that he should turn it over to Kamala Harris now. And you all be like, well, this could happen. I don't want to argue with y'all tonight. I'm just going to tell you what you need to do. If you don't do it, that means you're stuck in your ego chamber. Because we're going to get to that. We're going to run a little late because I got like 10 minutes, so I'm glad I get to take over the radio station. But we're going to talk about that in just a minute. But these are the choices that Donald Trump has announced. We got the governor of North Carolina, Doug Burgum. We got the senator from Ohio, J.D. I'm a Klansman Vance. We got Stephen from Django Unchained, Tim Scott, senator. And we got the man who said he would never allow Donald Trump to get near office, Marco Rubio. Yeah. Those are the choices that Donald Trump announced today that he was mulling over choosing for his vice presidential candidate. And that's my list. My list was Doug Burgum at number 1, Tim Scott at number 2, J.D. Vance at number 3, and Marco Rubio at number 4. And I admit I'm basing my list on Donald Trump's penance for revenge. And 3 of those 4 candidates have said things about Donald Trump that I know he's aching to get revenge for. But they all are falling over themselves to suck his blizzy. Now, let's wrap up the week also about some things that have gone on that we've talked about this week, because the Democratic National Convention, not that one. Dun, dun. Let's see. The Democratic National Convention will be August the 19th. August 19th in Chicago. And as you all know, this week has been a hard week for President Biden's campaign because they've been trying to squash a civil war within the Democratic Party over calls for Biden to step down. And those calls are not getting any less. Yeah, I understand people don't like to have that conversation, and you all are not going to want to have that conversation until it's too late. But the conversation is out there. We have now, I believe, it's 17 members of Congress who are calling for Joseph Biden to step down. But also, one of the things I noticed today is that we had more big dollar donors that say they're withholding $90 million from the campaign. They're from not just from the campaign for president, but they're holding their ransom over candidates that are seeking office. You understand this year, all House seats are up for grab. Every House seat is up for grabs. Process that. Give you a moment. Process it. That all 435 seats are up for grab every 2 years. So there is a good possibility that historically, the historical principles of low turnout for Democratic elections will impact this election. And I'm going to say this, right? wish more of you all were in here. I wish some of the people that were fussing with me the other night were in here, because I want you all to hear this. Because I hear people making this faulty analysis that, the media is doing this to Joe Biden. The media is the reason Joe Biden is in the condition he's in. Yeah, you all are not listening to the stories that are coming out from people that have or close to Joe Biden. But we're gonna come back to that in a minute, because you all act like this spring did not happen. You all act like the spring did not happen. The spring, y'all remember all the protests that were happening this spring? Where do you think those people are? Where do you think those people are? Do you think they just up and moved? Millions of people that were protesting this summer? You think they just left the country? Okay. Yeah, they're just quiet. See, I know those people. I was out there with those people, so I know those people. They're just quiet because they have made up their mind. They have made up their mind of what they're going to do on November 5th. And it doesn't have anything to do with Joe Biden's age. Has nothing to do with Joe Biden's age. But this is the thing. This is the point I wanted to make. Because I hear these same people that are mad at the media. Talking about the media didn't say this about Donald Trump. The media doesn't say this about Donald Trump. Do you all remember a little thing called a trial in Manhattan that took place, a hush money trial? Do you all remember that? Do you all remember that that every day, media was camped outside hush money trial? Y'all remember that, right? Hold on for a minute. Every day, they were camped out for weeks outside of that trial. They were camped out. Uh, uh, dun, 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 dun. Yeah, there we go. They were camped out for weeks outside the trial. Every day, they broke down all the testimony. Pontius was saying that how Trump shouldn't be fit for president. They said that. I don't know where I'm getting this from. That all of a sudden the media is making up Joe Biden's performance or blowing it out of proportion. Number one, let's admit that if Joe Biden would have stomped Donald Trump in that debate, you all would still be talking about it. You all would still be using debate talking points to prove your point. You would still be talking about Donald Trump got whipped in the debate by Joe Biden. Anybody? Anybody think I'm lying? Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying. So now, because it didn't turn out the way you all wanted to, because number one, it shouldn't have been a debate anyway. Y'all be mad at me anyway. If I was working with Joe Biden and I wanted to engage in a thing that made him look bad, I say, "Young Joe, we can't put him on a debate. Yeah, we don't care. We're not doing it. It's not like it's something new. Shouldn't have did it. But you did it. But you did it. But now you're mad at the media. But let me tell you why I say Republicans politic better than Democrats. Donald Trump every day was being dragged by the media during that trial. The salaciousness of Stormy Daniels' testimony had everybody talking. Everybody was talking about the details she put out. Everybody was talking about how a convicted felon, if he became a convicted felon, he could just imagine Donald Trump can run for president but can't even vote for himself. That's funny, isn't it? Yeah, he can't even be, even if he put on parole, he can't even be given an order to stay away from people with guns because Secret Service is going to be all around him all his life with guns. So it's just funny to me, but I digress. So when you all say the media wasn't covering Donald Trump, you all are disingenuous or liars. Y'all are disingenuous liars because they did. The same media you all were applauding then, you all are bashing now. because y'all are cult members. You're cult members. But see, this is why I say, let me get back to my synopsis about why I say that if Donald Trump showed you all how to handle that negativity, and Joe Biden is not doing it. Donald Trump every day, no matter how much he was attacked in the media, every day at the end of court, he came out to that to that podium and used it as a campaign platform. Every day while being attacked, Donald Trump came out to that podium and used it as a campaign platform to get his message across, to deflect. Donald Trump deflected from the trial. But the Democrats are doing just the opposite. They're structuring all these interviews that people are coming out and saying were scripted. They're doing everything except saying, hey, we got the attention on us. Joe Biden, get out there. Joe Biden, get out there and deflect. We don't care about you deflecting. We need Joe Biden out there deflecting. If you all don't, if you understand, if this is about the nature and you're not going to listen to us talk about the fact you should replace him, but he should be out there every day in front of a camera deflecting and making it every day, not some days. He should follow, as long as the media is talking about it, he should be in front of a camera deflecting about it. That's what I would say. If you want to play the game of politics, let's play it. Because every day the American people got to see Donald Trump have the last word at the end of the day after his trial, after all the pundits have been talking. So Joseph Biden, this is what you need to do. And I'm gonna tell you, sleep one day early and then show up at 10 o'clock at night on a news network and answer questions. Show them you're not asleep at 10 o'clock at night. I could tell you what needs to be done, but y'all don't listen to me. Y'all don't listen to us. You all are embedded in your little Donald Trump is the worst thing to happen to democracy. We all know that. The next person that tells me that in person, I'm slapping. I'm slapping. Unless you're my bestie and she be playing with me. But the next person that tells me that, I'm slapping. And I'm going to slap you digitally because that means you don't listen to my content. But if you all want to win this election, you better start doing something more than preaching to your echo chamber. You better start doing something more than preaching to your echo chamber. Since you're not going to reach out to those people who could help you make this a landslide, you better motivate them ones up off the couch. And the only way you're going to do it is you show them something better than you're showing now. Because one more speech and he introduces the president of the Ukraine as Putin, or he calls his vice president Trump. I don't care what y'all do. And well, that's just a little thing. This is little things add up, and all these little things are adding up. And you all are delusional to act like 51 million of us. You know, more people tuned in to watch Joe Biden at that press conference, NATO press conference, than tuned in and watched the Oscars this year. Think about that. More people tuned in to watch that press conference than tuned in to watch the Oscars this year. And you all are acting like this is normal. Y'all should get a stunt double for Biden and have him out running to the podium. Yeah, y'all come up with something. If y'all gonna do cover-ups, I can help you do them better. You need to hire stunt doubles and have Biden running down the hall to the Oval Office. Y'all need to start leaking some footage like Donald Trump leaks footage. Y'all need to start doing something because you all are getting beat and don't even know it. Then you act like people like me. I'm on your side. I'm on your side. You act like I'm the problem. I'm telling you what you need to do to reach people that you need to get to vote for you. I had people tell me they're not following me anymore. Number one, it's not the airport. I'll be all right. Number one, it's not an airport. You don't have to announce it. But I guarantee you'll need me before I need you. Because you all have a problem, whether you want to acknowledge it or not. And until you all get it together and learn how to play, Until y'all get it together and learn how to play in the arena, just like I say, everybody talking about, they get mad at me when I say it's the Democrats' fault that Roe versus Wade was never codified into law. It's the Democrats' fault. The Republicans have been mounting this long campaign for ever since 1972, and the Democrats had perfect opportunities to codify it into law, and they didn't because they liked it as a running. They tried to use it as a running point. Oh, we're here to protect Roe versus Wade. If you were here to protect Roe versus Wade, you would have codified it into law. Oh, I know I just left. I know 50 people just left the live. Just left the live across multiple platforms when I said that. Left because they don't like the truth. You all out here talking about Project 2025. Can you have the same discussion on inflation? Can you have the same kind of discussion you all having because you all read a couple of chapters, and you didn't even write the chapter. You all probably just read you read through the table of content. But can you have the same level of discussion with me that I can have about inflation, about what can be done about gas prices, what can be done about rent control, what can be done about the issues that the common person wants to talk about and what they want from their candidate? I would like to know what person that is working a 9 to 5 job that is barely making ends meet, trying to figure out how to take care of their parents, their aging parents, and making sure they're taken care of, how to take care of their family at home, how to afford mortgage payments and food payments and medical payments, asked you all about Project 2025. I just want you all to point me to those people that are motivated to go vote because you all elitists decide to have a conversation. Oh, let me tell you. Can you imagine me going out to some homeless people, right? And say, hey, let me tell you about Project 2025, and they hungry. And they hungry today. And you want them to tell me about something I read in 2022 and you all just finding out exists. Yeah. Yeah. You all act like that's the imperative here. Yeah, let's go blow for blow. Let's go blow for blow. You talk about an issue in Project 2025. I told someone the other night. So y'all so read up on it. Tell me what it says about North Africa. Didn't even know North Africa was mentioned in Project 2025. I was like, shut the fuck up talking to me. But let's talk about inflation. What are we gonna do about inflation? What's the plan? What's the plan for the wealth gap in this country for the next 4 years? How are we going to address that? How are we going to address gun violence? How are we going to address that? How are we going to get women back to having as many rights as they had 20 years ago today? How are we going to get back to that? See, that takes more than just the presidency. That takes more than just the presidency. While y'all focus on just one office, we're trying to focus on getting a 60 majority seat in the Senate and a super majority in the House. And then we're going to kick your asses to do the things you should have done when you had it the last time. See, I remember being in Centennial Park when Barack Obama was elected. I was in the park. I was looking at the joy that people thought they had. And then they all went home. They all went home. They didn't do anything to make sure that the people he needed in place to accomplish the goals they wanted to do were put in place. They all went home. And that's the same damn thing y'all gonna do on November the 6th. You're gonna all go home. You're gonna think you accomplished something, and you're gonna go home. You all are not ready for the conversation that I'm trying to have on the other side of this conversation because you're so focused on your echo chamber. Your echo chamber is not going to win the election. I said it. Now, what you want to do? You want to get mad at me? You want to get mad at me? I'm not the enemy. I'm just holding a mirror up to what you all are doing. I'm not the enemy. People want to argue with me and deflect. And they haven't been near the front line like some of us have. They weren't out campaigning against in 2016. They wasn't in there, they wasn't out doing fundraisers or for Democratic candidates in Mississippi. They wasn't registering people to vote. See, I'm talking to you as somebody who was on the street. I'll put together a string of videos for you. Petro, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put together a string of videos for these people so they'll remember who we are. Good day, Australia. What's up, Finona? Welcome, Australia. And Australia in the house. Australia, I would like for you all to go to gcpr.live and check in on the radio station and listen to us and make sure, give us a follow in Australia. Turn people on to the GCPR network in Australia. gcpr.live. Y'all tune in, give us a follow, make sure you make the show a success, and I will do more of these. Also, as we come, if you like the information, you want to participate, consider, and this is for my people. Sometimes I forget I have a touch screen. And this is for the people who can see this. Yeah, let's get it. Yeah, there you go. Make this reality. If you like what you hear, you want to hear more of it, you want to hear us do what we do, yeah, there it is. There's the Cash App. Feel free to donate. I reached out and I wanted to tell people on yesterday, we had a young lady that had been, y'all can hear the crumb snatchers in the background? Yeah, the crumb snatchers. It's the weekend. You're gonna hear crumb snatchers on the weekend show. So you're a young lady who had been separated from her mother for a year, was homeless, and she was afraid to call her mother. She hadn't called her mother in a year. She, from Jackson, Mississippi, my hometown. Well, I lived in Jackson, but my home state. I came of age in Mississippi. And she was homeless. She was homeless, left home with a man, didn't work out, and her mother and I had some words before they left, and yes, so we put her on a bus. I talked to her mother. Her mother was so glad. Her mother was so glad. Gave her a little track phone, and gave it to her so she'd have communication on the bus. Gave her some money to make sure she could get food. Got a ticket. And why didn't anybody tell me that tickets on buses are as expensive as I had? I haven't rode the bus since 1990s. I did not know. But $176 plus to get her home. And it was worth every penny of it. It was just listening to her mother talk to her on the phone and to understand that a mother's love is something about it. But you all make that possible. And you all make it possible by subscribing to the channels or hitting the Cash App up so we can help people that need the help that they need. I stay broke. I stay broke because whatever. Let me tell you, Anuba's ambitious. Okay, power just went off on my speaker, but Anubis, I didn't know. I didn't know, but I had put my foot in my mouth and I said I was gonna do it. And I'm the type of person when I say something like that, I'm gonna do it if I have to get out here on the corner. I'm gonna say what I'm gonna be doing on the corner. Not what you think. I will hit people in the head. But anyway, so we made that happen. We got her home, and she called me. She called today, let me know that they had made it home, and it's just a joy that a mother, and to realize, and it's like when she's telling me about it, and it's like, yeah, my mother doesn't. She's mad at me, and I was like, your mother mad at you, and she told me, and I said, as a parent, I say, you haven't talked to your mother. I let my aunt know, let her know I was okay, but I know she mad at me, and I was like, no, that's not a mother. A mother will walk through fire on glass for their children, right? And sure enough, she just didn't have the money to get her home. and she didn't have the money to get a home, so we made it a reality. And you know who you are. Thank you. Thank you for helping me make that a reality, getting the money to her, getting her where she needed to go. And we did that. And that's what we do. See, while you all are out here talking about these higher principles, if you're not addressing the most needy in our society, while you're talking about saving a democracy, but you'll walk over. I was in San Francisco one time. Um, Petra, yeah, and Petra know me. I was in San Francisco. I'd gone to San Francisco for a Soul to Soul convention, and Jerry Brown was throwing a climate change convention in San Francisco. Jerry Brown was former governor of California. He was throwing a climate change summit in California that no indigenous people had been invited to. How you going to hold a climate change conference in California where they're trying to reclaim shell mounds and you're not going to invite any indigenous people? Yeah, we stormed the protest. See, this is what I do. I'm telling you, this is what we do. We stormed the area, the hotel where the conference was being held, and we didn't back down until they and took some indigenous tribal chiefs into the conference to discuss it. Yeah, and that's what we do. Um, in NOLA, I saw the most treatment of all. But what I was there is like, it surprises. What gets me is that I can see people who call themselves activists, right? And protesting and stepping over homeless people like they're not there while they're protesting. What was what was the what was this like one that had in Sacramento? This one was in San Francisco. But we went to Oakland, the Oakland Shell Mound. This was in San Francisco. I will don't make me start. I will pull up video. Um, I will pull up video later. We'll come back later and we can look at some video. I have to pull it up. But yeah, we were at Soul to Soul. It was called Soul to Soul, and we joined the indigenous population. I even did a show from California. I have to play on a conversation of a show I used to have called E-Racism. E-Racism. Petra and I used to have a show also, Free Zone. Yeah, Free Zone. Those are where I got my start for before I got on here. We used to do these kind of shows on Facebook when it was new, Facebook, and we put them on YouTube. Now we're doing them like this, doing them big, but we're still reaching out and helping the same people. Because if we are not, you look at the fact that, and I like to look at the Democratic Party, and I look at people. I look at people on this app, and I look at MAGA supporters, and they have no problem raising money. They have no problem raising money. They have hundreds of subscribers to their pages. Hundreds of subscribers to their pages. I can't get people to subscribe to my page that say that they want to do what it needs to be done. We can't get people to hit this up. If it wasn't for the ability that I have certain good people in my corner that I can count on one hand, that I can call up and say, hey, we need to do this, this, and this, and they'll help me make it happen. But in general, we can't do that here. And I understand that you all have been burned by people before, but in the end, I just don't understand how you all think we fund the revolution. And that's what I try to figure out. How do you all want the revolution to look? Because you all are not supporting it. I watch people put up cash apps and raise money to buy dope on this app, and you all will finance it. You all will finance people doing things like that, but you won't finance people doing the work in the community that you see they do. I wish somebody would make that make sense to me. I wish you would. But we always talk about what we don't have and what we don't have access to, but we can't do it alone. I know you're a subscriber, Olivia. Yes, I know you're a subscriber. And I thank you for being a subscriber. But I don't hide my subscription rate. It's right up there. You can see how many people subscribe. So it's the same number of people who actually listen to my videos all the way through. It's, yeah, yeah, I feel some kind of way about that too before you comment. Because people will comment about what they think they're saying, but they have no listening comprehension skills and they're not psychic. I don't know what it is, but this is the work we do. And like I say, no matter what, I'm going to continue to do it. I always have. It was nothing more joyous than hearing that mother so happy to hear her daughter home. Hearing her daughter home and knowing that we made it happen. Made it happen. No matter, like I say, if you people that know me will tell you, TNathan will put his foot in his mouth and say he's gonna do something, and got $10 in his pocket. Oh, $10. Like I say, we're gonna do a meal for those happy homeless. I got $10. What's up? We're gonna make it happen. We're gonna make it happen. And in this year, and I just know, no matter what happens on November 4th, next year is gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough. And we're going to have to figure out a way to navigate it. We're going to have to figure out a way to navigate it. So I don't know what I have to do. If you all have some suggestions, please share them with me. How do we make this possible? How do we make it possible? How do we, as the militant left, stop talking about just conversations and start making things happen? We got 500,000 people. Normally, I would be in Texas. I'll be in Texas after a hurricane, trying to figure out what we need to do. I know there's going to be times when I need to be in Mississippi, but those days that I used to be able to raise money and get a truck and take water somewhere. Those days are over, and they're not over because the people don't have it. It's just that they would rather spend. Anyway, not going to talk about people's spending habits, but at the end of the day, what do we need to do? What do we need to do? Tell me that. Somebody tell me. What do we need to do? I need answer. It's like, I got it. It's funny because I'm looking at the number of people. I know the people in radio land can't respond because I haven't set up the text message yet. But hundreds of people across multiple platforms, and I'm not getting any answers. So I can't get any answers. I'm going to end this live. I'm going to end this broadcast because I'm trying to find solutions. Nobody wants to talk about solutions, and I cuss. And I probably will start cussing a lot if I don't get some feedback from people who say they're about that work and they're about that life. But what I'm seeing is just lip service. Same 5 to 10 people. Everybody else is just lip service to y'all. So y'all have the day you deserve, and I'll see you Monday. I'll be back to cover the first nights of the convention. And dun, 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 close that. And I hope to see you there. All right. Until then.